And welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the jobs podcast, like I just said, for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I said, what am I doing anymore? What's going on? Who am I to be like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know things anymore. I don't even know how to get past words. Welcome in episode 35 of the Long Running Jobs podcast. Hey, we have a lot to talk about, so no futzing around over here. I'm still searching out there looking. Just saying, I'm ready. I had a celebrity sighting this morning. That person respected me. No, we just we passed by each other. Excuse me. That's what I said. Pardon me. Excuse me. All right, let's. It was at the gym. Big star too. I'm not gonna say who. It was a big star from a Marvel. Might be the lead of a Marvel movie. Let's get in with this. It's actually pretty tantamount that I opened up LinkedIn right when the theme song was playing, because this is in relation to the first story. This comes from Benjamin Mullen and Lauren Hirsch. Ooh, I sound good today. Over at the New York Times. With Paramount in chaos and its future uncertain, its chief steps down. That's right, Bob Bakish. If you know who that name is, what that name is. Who that name is. Bob Bakish is no longer the head of Paramount. And it's true. This comes in the midst of Paramount. They're in the final week of I believe this is the final week. I don't know. But they are in the Sherry Redstone is looking to sell off the company either as a whole or in parts. And I think she's leaning towards a whole. And that's what I've been hearing from the insiders. And they're right now talking to Skydance. Other interested parties include Sony and the guy who owns the Weather Channel. Him. But he just wants BET. It's funny yesterday. Not funny. But yesterday... a company that I did one freelance story for, and there were promises of more, but the person I was talking to ghosted me, and she went to work in television. That guy, what's his name? Oh, Jesus. Owner Byron Allen. Okay, thank God. Byron Allen. They started doing layoffs at the website The Grio, which I did one story for. It's a story that I pitched it. They're like, great, go do it. And so I did it. And I came back with a very long story. And they're like, edit it down. And I edited it down. And they said, great. And I said, is there going to be more? And they said, yes. And then nothing. And I followed up, is there going to be more? Is there going to be more? Hey, this person doesn't work here anymore. Oh, and also, they were like, when they said it was great, when I edited it down, they're like, can you get some more information? And I was like, you haven't paid me yet. So I don't have money to go back up to Kennesaw. At that point, I was freelancing, living in the city. And I got this one thing. And I went all out. I went all over I went downtown to shoot some stuff. And then, but because it was I think I shot 2 stories with them. So I might have shot 2, but I went to Kennesaw for this story, and this is the only video. I think this is like one of. Actually, no. There's a lot of videos on my personal YouTube account, but this is like the video that has the most views, with people commenting from all sectors of life. It was a story about race at Kennesaw, and how there's a lot of racism at that school. A lot of people agree. And I did it, and I did that story, and it was they're like, hey, go back and get some more information. I went, guys, I can't afford the gas to get up there. which was true. Anyway, for years, Sherry Redstone saw Bob Bakish as a loyal lieutenant who could navigate the treacherous entertainment industry with the financial dexterity of the management consultant he once was. As Paramount's share price sagged, she was patient with him, even as she steered the company toward an eventual sale that he had reservations about. There are rumors that Bakish was going to step down this past last week. Bakish is 60 years old. He's going to be replaced by a, quote, office of the CEO run by three executives, three white guys. Brian Robbins, head of the Paramount movie studio. George Cheeks, chief executive of Paramount CBS division. And Chris McCarthy, chief executive of Showtime and MTV Entertainment Studios. If you follow along of industry news and it's entertainment industry news, you will know each and every single one of these people. I particularly know Cheeks and McCarthy because McCarthy was somebody I did not deal with personally, but I had to deal with a lot when I got press access to Comedy Central, which I no longer have press access to. Paramount is one of the bigger names that has been struggling over the past couple of years, and this sale and the leaving of Bob Bakish are not anything that are painting the company's situation in a good light. This is really kind of a red mark on them. If this was an eventuality that Bakish were to leave and Paramount were to be sold, I would have waited until the merger for something like that to happen, because the buyout for something like that to happen. Even just the announcement of, hey, we're accepting this all cash offer from Skydance, which is in the lead right now for the offers. Then I would have said, by the way, Bakish is not coming along for the ride, because now it just looks like you're if you're Christy Nome, you're beating a dead horse or shooting a dead horse. She killed her dog. And then she was like, if you feel sad about this, we killed 3 horses a couple weeks ago. Like, what the fuck? This is a clean show. I'm not going to bleep that out, though. In recent months, the company has been in discussions to merge with Skydance, the media company run by Tex Sion and Hollywood executive David Ellison. Oh, the Ellison family. Racist father, a queer daughter, and David. Several shareholders have come out publicly against the combination with Skydance, saying it would enrich Ms. Redstone at the expense of other investors. And I believe that there is a new deal that was introduced last week that would call for less money to Sherry Redstone and more money to the investors and the shareholders. The private equity firm Apollo Global Management and Sony have discussed making an all-cash bid for Paramount, an offer that would give the company a serious alternative. But any talks with other suitors must wait until the exclusive negotiation period with Skydance lapses in early May. So they have about May 1st is tomorrow, so they have about a week until that happens. Skydance's current offer is a $3 billion cash infusion to pay down debt and buy back shares, money that would come from the private equity of Redbird Capital and the Ellison family. Skydance also offered to give Paramount shareholders a larger stake in the combined company than it previously contemplated. Bob Bakish wrote on just, quite frankly, less than 20 minutes ago on LinkedIn. His pronouns are he, him. It his thing. The opportunity to lead Paramount has been the greatest honor of my professional life. This is truly the first time I'm saying this. I literally just loaded up LinkedIn, and this was on my feed. Because also I follow him. He was one of the less problematic CEOs. Zaslav. JPEG. A lot of boilerplate stuff, talking about streaming TV, talking about Pluto, talking about Paramount Plus. He didn't mention CBS All Access. We did all of it while navigating a period of unprecedented change for media and entertainment, and while using our platform to do good in the communities we serve. Wow, he's been there for 27 years. To our employees, I couldn't believe more strongly in all of you, and I will be there rooting for your continued success now and far in the future. How kind. Other companies, as I've mentioned before, are interested in Paramount's wares. Sherry wanted to sell off Showtime and BET. In 2021, the private equity firm Blackstone expressed interest in acquiring the Showtime cable network for at least $5.5 billion, an eye-watering sum for a business in long-term decline, one of the people said. Paramount did not pursue that deal. BET was going to go to Byron Allen. Well, he wanted it. He really wanted it. But they're trying to keep everything together at Paramount, which is, I guess good. Like, it wouldn't make sense for, this has also been a long discussion, but Iger has come out against it, selling ABC. You don't need to do that. If you have a foothold in broadcast and streaming, keep it side by side. Cable too. You don't need to sell off, because what does Blackstone have? Blackstone Investment Management. What do they own? I can't. I like a lot of real estate. But how would they? They wouldn't know what to do with Showtime. Showtime, ladies and gentlemen. You ever ridden the train? You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm looking at this on IndieWire. I'm not going to link to this. But at first, this is from a 2023 article of IndieWire. As first reported last week by the Wall Street Journal, Paramount recently declined a $3 billion show to offer for Showtime by former executive David Nevins and his backers at private equity firm General Atlantic. Wow, this is new to me. Lionsgate wanted to merge Showtime with Starz. Starz, bought by Lionsgate in 2016 for $4.4 billion, is the one up for sale these days. I mean, you know what? Imagine if Starz and Showtime merged at some point in 2022, 2023, and then being able to sell Showtime and Starz, that combined effort. That would be much more incentive than just buying Starz outright by itself. Because I don't know what would happen with Starz. Anyway, okay. But this is all for the Constitutionals. I just wanted to mention where a big media player is right now. This is exactly what happened with, well, I mean, not exactly, because this is a lot messier, but this is along the same veins of what happened with Disney and Fox, when Disney bought Fox, when Discovery bought Warner Brothers, when these big A-list companies are being bought up by other big A-list companies. I wouldn't say Skydance is in the A-list category, but it is. This is where it's going now, and everything's merging. Whereas a couple of years ago, we wouldn't even thought about mergers. But I think since that Disney-Fox deal, it really changed things. Doing a lot of hand movements with one hand. Speaking of cable, television, and all that stuff, The Hollywood Reporter writes, Alex Weprin writes, even cable TV giants know that consumers prefer streaming, but they've got a plan. Why is this on... Hold on, I'm doing... Why is this on the the LinkedIn logs and not the Constitutionals? Did I do a miss? I think I did a miss. Okay, this is my fault. Please disregard that. Disregard that exact thing. Because that is not what this was supposed to be. This is supposed to be on the Constitutionals, not LinkedIn logs. Who cares? This is a loosey-goosey baby. Let's move on. We're talking about non-compete clauses. This comes from the New York Times, written by J. Edward Moreno. FTC issues a ban on worker non-compete clauses. This was a big story last week. We had the Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena M. Khan talking about the new rule, which will quote, ensure Americans have freedom to pursue a new job, start a new business, or bring a new idea to market. The idea about a non-compete clause in the simplest terms is that you leave a job, say you work at McDonald's and you sign a non-compete clause. This is not what happens, but say you work at McDonald's. You sign a non-compete clause when you start, and then when you leave, you can't go and work at Burger King. Let's blow that up to a bigger spot. Let's say Bob Bakish leaves Paramount. He can't go and be the CEO, president, whatever, of Warner. The sweeping action could help create jobs, raise wages, and increase competition among businesses, the agency said. But the action is all but certain to be challenged in court by businesses that say they need to protect trade secrets and confidential information, which makes sense. You don't want somebody leaving a Apple and they've having worked on the Apple car, and then they quit, and then they go over to Tesla and say, this is exactly what they were doing. The move bars contracts known as non-competes, which prevent workers from leaving a competitor for a certain amount of time. In most circumstances, non-competes over 30 million U.S. workers. Non-competes cover, about 30 million U.S. workers. I think I was talking about a non-disclosure agreement. So that means again, Bob Bakish can't leave Paramount and then immediately go work at Warner. He has to wait, a year or two. Non-competes cover about 30 million U.S. workers, the Trade Commission said, in a variety of jobs that include TV producers, hairdressers, corporate executives, and engineers. I saw a quote in one of these articles I'm going to bring up that is talking about how even some janitors are signing non-competes. Again, if this were to go into action, it would be in action this fall, I believe. Lena Khan estimated the decision would lead up to the creation of 8,500 startups in a year and up to $488 billion in increased wages for workers over the next decade. Biden agrees with it, but the U.S. Chamber of Commerce vowed to sue the FTC to block the proposal, calling, quote, it a lawful power grab in a statement shortly after the vote. The chamber, as well as the two dissenting commissioners, had argued that the FTC doesn't have the authority to address this issue and that it should be left to the states. Now, imagine this, but in how it affects Hollywood. You can't be a TV anchor, leave CNN, and immediately go to MSNBC. You have to wait. This comes from Winston Cho at The Hollywood Reporter. Again, I messed up with NDAs, but it's all the same thing. I had to sign so many NDAs. Let me tell you what's happening at NBC. A ban on non-competes could raise pay and complicate contracts in Hollywood. So 4 months is when it's expected to become law. Okay. Or 120 days after it's published in the Federal Register, the daily journal of the United States government. If you can hear birds outside, the balcony door is open. It's a nice rainy day. I'm allowing the pets to go outside and have a nice time, which meant that when I came back from the gym and I opened the door while I was cycling, the dog was doing sprints back and forth. Tearing up the screen, the screen door I hang on front of the porch, and the cat has been rolling around on the chair, on one of the chairs that's outside. So when it's published inside the Federal Register or when it becomes law, companies that subject their employees to non-competes will be required to provide notice to workers who are bound by such provisions in their contracts that they cannot enforce those terms. Clauses affecting senior executives can remain in effect, though employers will be prohibited from imposing new non-competes. Okay, now let's move on to how this affects the industry. In a statement, in the entertainment industry. In a statement, SAG-AFTRA said non-competes, quote, unreasonably constrain our members in taking new employment. It continued, the time has come to bring an end to the use of these anti-competitive clauses that artificially restrict employees from participating in a free market. I'm still thinking about the NDA thing. I can multitask. The union said that non-competes are essentially used to suppress wages in Hollywood, whereas were traditionally limited to the most sought-after talent who agreed to include such clauses in their contracts in exchange for higher pay and more favorable terms. The quote landscape of employment contracts in our industry has shifted dramatically over the past 2 decades. They explain like this. We often speak with our lower paid employees, some who earn as little as $11 an hour, who are forced to turn down employers willing to offer higher salary positions in a city that has become their preferred home because their current employer enforces a non-compete clause. Huh. This next bit comes from the Wall Street Journal, written by... God, why am I not signed in? They signed me out. They signed me out of the apps. They signed me out of the website. Lindsay Ellis and Chip Cutter. Ooh, Chip Cutter. Sounds like a baseball player. In interviews with the Wall Street Journal, workers largely cheered the new rule. They say they are already thinking about ways to ban on. They say there were ways a ban on non-competes could help them, and others change jobs and earn more. But of course, employers are trying to fight it. The new rules shift the balance of power between U.S. workers and their bosses. Yet again, following years of workplace clashes over remote work and pay, as well as a wave of resignations and layoffs, employees say non-competes have kept them tied to bad bosses or unreasonably limited their career mobility. Businesses say they need non-competes to protect Tracy. Oh, here's the quote. This is a very funny quote. Everybody from the janitor on up is signing a non-compete, and it's just gotten out of control, said Robert Williams, 57, who works in sales in the flooring industry. It's very funny. Five states, California, Minnesota, Colorado, North Dakota, and Oklahoma, have already banned all or nearly all non-competes, according to Mercer, a benefits consulting firm. Several other states have put in restrictions on non-competes, such as allowing them only for employees who earn over a certain pay threshold. Maryland, for instance, prohibits non-competes for workers who earn less than or equal to $15 an hour. Oh, ding. I'm in there. Ding, ding, ding. One push behind partial bans on non-competes has been to allow lower wage workers, such as hairstylists, to switch jobs if they can make more money elsewhere. And I'm sure that there is, if you're looking for jobs on LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever, what have you, you've been subject to a non-compete. I was subject to one when I worked at Starbucks. Very true. I couldn't go. I worked at the Starbucks at the CNN Center. Oh, this is a different time of life. Man, it was popping over there. People were busy. There were field trips coming in every day. I made I think like a Catholic school came by one day, and there were these two nuns, and they came up to the to the Starbucks kiosk in the middle of the place, and I made this woman laugh. I made them both laugh very hard, but I made this one nun laugh so hard, just doing clean jokes. I don't remember a thing I said, but I remember she was laughing her nun hat off. She was just laughing. I'm still thinking about the NDA thing. She was laughing. She gave me a tip. Also, if you tip, let me tell you this: if you tip, and you tip in the shared thing at at a Starbucks or a coffee shop or whatever, they gotta have to split that up. The only way at Starbucks that I can receive my own personal tips is if you walked up to me with an envelope with my name on it and said, "This is for you." Oh my God. I did not like that job. I didn't hate it. I did not like it. I hate my current job. it was such a, and like to be bossed around by people who were like years younger than you. Oh my God. But I tell you, I was there out of a particularly not good day. You're not supposed to use your phones, and I was getting a phone call, and I went, I'm going to answer this. So when there was a lull, I happened to get that phone call. There was a lull, and then like a swarm of people came in. I was like, I want to dip. I just left. I left out of the kiosk. I went behind the kiosk, still in the middle of like CNN Center, and I squatted down. And I went, hello, and then I was I was called for a job offer at Bounce TV, and I was like, thank you so much. Yeah, it was great. Okay. I stood up and I was like, I'm gonna make less than $40,000 a year. Which to me then was like so much money. Even though my friends had already been making like $70,000, $80,000, married, have kids. I'm like, how old was I? I'm like 21 or 20. No, I was 22. I had to be 22 because that's when I started living in the city. I was 22 years old, living in a 3-bedroom in an up and coming part of the neighborhood, eating leftover Starbucks things that are going to expire at night. Because you get to take home the food, especially if it's about to expire, or if it had been baked and they put it in that case. You get to take that home. You can't give it to homeless people, which there was a proliferation of, right? There's a large amount of a homeless population hanging out at CNN Center because it was a place you could just go and hang out. Now that place is gone. Anyway, okay, let's get back. It's like a 4-minute tangent. Oh, God. I'm back at the Hollywood Reporter article. A workaround to the ban may come in the form of fixed-term employment agreements, which allows employers to sue workers for breach of contract if they leave before the expiration of the term. These provisions were subject of lawsuits filed by a host of companies in 2020, including 20th Century Fox Film, Activision, and Viacom, over Netflix poaching their employees. Courts largely found in favor of plaintiffs in these cases, rejecting arguments from the streamer that the contracts were unenforceable because they're essentially non-competes, which aren't allowed in California. You know, it's I never understood. Oh, but anyway, the reason why I had to sign a non-compete for Starbucks was because there's a Dunkin' Donuts like 3 feet away in the same center. Anyway, these non-competes are. This ban of non-competes is going to be a game changer. It's never affected me in any way besides the Starbucks thing. I don't think because there wasn't a really competitor for Bounce TV or the Weather Channel, and for CNN. I mean, I was a freelancer, so I could do, or a contract worker, so it really didn't matter. I don't know, but I don't know if it's a more of a salaried employee thing, and hourly employee thing, as opposed to a contract freelancer thing. Because there's how many people do you see freelancing for, New York Times and then doing Washington Post and writing stories for Forbes and doing places like that. But similarly, I'm sure special deals have been worked out for people like Gayle King, who hosted a now canceled show on CNN with Charles Barkley. But she also hosts CBS Mornings, and the same thing goes for I don't know, Michael Strahan, who I think who does Fox football. Maybe he does ABC football. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like it's different. It's going to be different for if you pass a certain threshold. Like, yes, if you're in the executive suite and below, then obviously it's going to be that's where the non-competes are affecting you. And then if you're contract or freelance, then that does not matter as much. And then if you're above the executive suite, if you're the stars, then it really doesn't matter as much. One question, again, this is a Hollywood Reporter article, that has yet to be answered is whether the non-compete ban will also effectively bar terms in contracts that require talent to return for follow-up projects. The Motion Picture Association and Independent Film and Television Alliance, the MPAIFTA, submitted comments to the FTC arguing that certain provisions its members include in contracts shouldn't be implicated in the new rule. This is going to be the longest write-up for a law in the world. You know, you're going to have like the right to freedom of speech, and then and then a couple of pages later you're going to be like, and then also for non-competes, they don't exist, but also you have to be in a movie if you say, but also there's a lot of good takes on it, on this this ban from the FTC for non-competes, and you know, in any case, I do think that this is a step in the right direction because of how these non-competes have been handled and done. You know, if just let people make more money, if you're going to be restricting them to have to not work from home, or have to not work from home. They have to work back in the office, even though, you know, the pandemic should have allowed for hybrid stuff like this. You're going to pay them less, and then also force them to come back in, when really, you know, if you kept them at home and then not paid them anymore, there would be no difference. But now I think people are, especially, you know, post-pandemic, we're seeing a lot of people look at how these arbitrary rules have set up how rigid work has to be, even at places that should be a little bit more malleable, like CNN, like NBC, like Paramount, like Apple, like working on Wall Street. If we can do these jobs at different avenues and different ways, then let's do it. Because going down the same direction, this is how I see it. At the gym, where I saw my famous person. I work in this industry, and the one time I see somebody who's bigger than the C-list comedians I talk to. I'm kidding about the C-list comedians. I'm like at a Q, so it doesn't matter. I told somebody I was at Z. I rose myself up a couple of letters. But I see this all the time at the gym. People do the same things over and over and over again. They do the same squats. They do the same bench presses, the same curls, the same kickbacks, the same stuff. And it wasn't until, you know, I used to be a lot like that, but it wasn't until a couple of years ago when I started doing other things. Yes, I've been doing yoga, and yes, I've been doing HIIT classes, but I started implementing all that stuff that I learned from those exercises, from those workouts, into my regular main sets of weightlifting. So, you know, that being said, the Pilates I did on Saturday, and yes, I do Pilates, it's very true. The Pilates I did on Saturday, I took 3 things from that and put it in today's leg weight session. And you know what? My legs feel great. Because I wasn't going to do the squat, and I wasn't going to do just a regular deadlift. I want to do something different. And it's okay to be different. Hey. So what I'm saying there is, and you know, the people who do the same things over and over again, my elbow hurts, my knee hurts. Well, have you tried switching it up a little bit? Have you tried stretching first of all? Switch it up a little bit. And so to put that back into job terms, if we do the same thing over and over and over again, you're never going to be better. You're never going to better yourself. You're never going to take the company to a new height. If you come in every single day to CNN to produce a show, and it's happened every single day to people who made enough money to eat food and not have to have a peanut butter jelly sandwich every day and not to have oatmeal every day. I'm thinking of specific producers who came in. But if you come in every day and you're going to say, we're going to have a shit show, the show is going to be bad, it's going to be so shitty, oh, I hate this is going to be so stupid, and the show hasn't even started yet, then you're going to have a bad show. I say that all the time. And I'm not the most optimistic. I'm not the most positive, but I practice it. And I want to do different things. And these non-competes are really screwing up the overall, just jobs are focusing on the same thing all the time. If Apple puts out the same phone, then what's the point in getting a new phone every year? Make the iPhone 16 different from the 15 in giant ways. Anyway, okay, I'm done. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people all the time. Most of the time. Not all the time. Most of the time. I just put out an interview with a very funny comedian. It's not on the website yet. Sierra K-Tao. You can find it on YouTube. If you want to see a video version of that, you want to see a video version of this show, see a video version of every single podcast that I do, not every single podcast that I've done, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. If you want to listen to my interviews, as well as the other podcasts, listen to the interviews under the Constitutionals podcast, which you can find at wherever you get podcasts, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. You can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at @CPlusComedy. Follow me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm done. Bye.